What's the story, Morning Glory? What's the word, Hummingbird? Thank you so much for clicking on my channel and for joining me for this review of 90 Day Fiancé The Other Way, Season 7, Episode 8. Let's get into Pattia. Poor Pattia. Pattia and Dylan, y'all. So she's already arrived in Australia. Now they're at the house. This is a house that Dylan probably bought dirt cheap and he renovated it himself. And the house looks great. The only thing missing is furniture in the living room. The house looks great. It's a one-story, very spacious. Um, the natural light that comes through that house is unbelievable. It's a beautiful home. The home is neat and clean and orderly. And it's all because Dylan himself is somewhat of a neat freak. And I was just thinking to myself that we finally have a man on 90 Day Fiance that knows how to get a house ready for his significant other, because these other men have just been like making men look really bad when it comes to cleanliness and getting a home ready for your girlfriend or fiance that's supposed to come and live with you. So the house looks absolutely impeccable. It's a beautiful home. Pattia was very impressed. He gives her a short tour of the house. She likes everything. She has enough closet space. The bedroom is nice. And I loved I don't know what it's called, but the bedroom had like several windows, kind of like in a circular motion, floor to ceiling windows, cute curtains, so much natural light. The house was really lovely. So like I said, Dylan is a neat freak though. And unfortunately, Pattia is not a neat freak. And Dylan even talks about how when they used to live together before, because they did live together before, I think it was in Thailand or somewhere, she was, she bought a lot of stuff. She's a shopaholic. She spends a lot of money. And he talked about her laundry basket being completely overflowing with clothes. And that's just not his style. So he says that he's more simple, more down to earth. He likes things to be very clean, very orderly. He seems like he's almost a minimalist when it comes to home decor. And so he says it's going to be a very interesting dynamic to see how they can get along the second time around, because before, I think it was kind of an issue. He's also very, very strict with his diet. He talks about how, to keep in shape, he eats a certain way. He eats kangaroo. And of course, me as an American, when he said he ate kangaroo, it was a little bit shocking, but that's very normal and common in Australia. He eats kangaroo. He has a very strict diet. He eats only certain things, and he only eats during certain times of the day as well. And when he was preparing her food, he was making salmon, asparagus, and brown rice. He had measured out everything to the ounce, and he knew how many calories the meal had. So he's very regimented when it comes to his diet. And Pattia says that he doesn't use any seasoning. So she had to like look for the seasoning or tell him to season her food, because he doesn't use any seasoning. Obviously, he doesn't use a lot of sugar or oils and fats. He eats very clean, very lean. And Pattia suggested that sometimes, she would also like to cook as well. And he damn near had a heart attack. And he was like, well, the way you cook is not really what I'm used to. And she said, well, I'm a really good cook. And he says, yeah, I know you are a good cook. I'm not saying that you're a bad cook, but, I eat very clean and healthy, and you don't really cook like that. He says, you don't measure anything. Because like I said, he measures everything down to the ounce. He says, you don't measure anything. You use a lot of oils and fats and sugars and carbs. And so she talked about how she doesn't want to be controlled. I guess when she cooks meals, she wants to be able to cook what she wants, how she wants, and she wants them to like it. And she doesn't like that she's going to have to be restricted in how. But I'm like, y'all are two grown adults. Okay, y'all are two grown adults. If y'all don't really eat the same way, you don't have to eat the same way. He can make his meals and then you make your meals. I don't understand what the conflict is, because I don't understand like why adults are arguing about food and how to cook and what to cook and how to eat. If you want to eat your way, you want to eat your, high sugar, high salt, high fat foods, and he wants to eat a little bit leaner, do it. You do it. You don't have to eat his kangaroo, and he doesn't have to eat your very rich foods. So in this particular scene, they already started arguing about the damn cooking. They were going back and forth, and I'm just like, y'all, this is so unnecessary. Eat whatever the hell y'all want to eat. Y'all don't have to eat the same thing. He considers her food very unhealthy for himself. The next morning, Mama Joe, Dylan's mother, comes over. She stops by. And we already know the history between Pattia and Dylan's mother. They don't get along, they don't like each other at all. And now we're going to get to the nitty gritty of exactly why. And it does seem like they're both fighting for Dylan. I have said this before in previous videos talking about, various things. I have said that in some mother son relationships, not all, but in some mother son relationships, there is a very weird and strange dynamic because it's almost as if the son kind of has to take the role of being the mother's husband in a way, because we have all seen situations where if the father is not in the household for whatever reason, the father left, the father was never around, the father died, the parents are now divorced, and dad is no longer living in the home. Whatever the situation is, we have seen situations where sons are told by their mothers, well, you're the man of the household now. Or they're even told by the father, if the father has to leave for whatever reason, you're the man of the household. You're going to be the one taking care of your mother and protecting your mother and being there for your mother. And it's almost as if the son has to step up in some type of partnership role with his own mother instead of the mother being still the caretaker of her child. Now the son feels like, well, I need to step up and be there for my mom and protect my mom. And that's sometimes where this weird dynamic begins, because nobody tells a daughter that. Nobody, well, maybe they do, but I just don't see it as often. I'm pretty sure it does happen. If the mother's no longer in the picture, where someone will tell the daughter, well, now you're going to have to step up and take care of your dad. Now you have to take on this, I don't know, character. I don't know what you would call it, because it's not, people are not going to say, well, now you're a woman now and you got to step up and be the woman of the house. They don't really say that to little girls, but they say that to boys, even as very young boys. They'll say, well, now you're the man of the house, you have to be there for your mom. They'll tell little children that. And I don't know, I forgot exactly what happened to Dylan's dad, but the way the mother is with Dylan, it is like she's in direct competition with Pattia, and it's very strange, but let's get into it. So Mama Joe tells us that she hasn't seen Pattia in 11 years. And she says that she herself doesn't have a problem with Pattia, but Pattia has a problem with her. And she says that Pattia is jealous of her relationship with her own son. She said that Pattia is jealous of her and Dylan's relationship. Right there, to me, I was like, okay, strike number one. Strike number one. You're already going down this really weird path. Okay. If my father would say something like that to my significant other, if my father were to say, you're just jealous of my relationship with Cookie, I would look at my dad like he was the biggest perv in the world. Like, what are you talking about? My man is jealous of our relationship. That's strange to me. That's very weird to me. Because the relationship that you have with your parent is completely different from a relationship that you would have with a significant other. Completely different. What is there to be jealous of? If a mother and child or a mother and son are close as mother and son, I'm not going to be jealous of that unless that relationship somehow interferes with my relationship with my man. And if it interferes, that's a red flag. That's a problem. Because as a mother, you would think that when her son becomes an adult and takes on a partner, that the mother now will know to like step back and not interfere and not try to manipulate her son's time, trying to dominate her son when it comes to how he relates to his significant other. A son should never be in a position where he feels like he has to choose between his mother and his significant other. That should never happen. If I had a son, there is no way that I would want him to feel like he has to choose between spending time with me or spending time with his wife. I don't think that wouldn't be fair at all. You are a man now. I have raised you. I'm done raising you. You do what you got to do over there. If you need my help, if you need my input, I will be there to help you out. But I'm also going to be very cautious on how involved I am with my son's relationship with his significant other. I would be very cautious. If he tells me, oh, mom, she wants me to do A, B, C, and D, I would listen to my son. And if it's reasonable, like she's not asking them to go kill somebody or rob a bank, if it's reasonable, okay, and it's not something completely toxic and unhealthy, I would tell my son, you need to do what's best for your relationship with your wife. I can't sit there and tell you what you should and shouldn't do. So I think it's weird how the mother said that Pattia is jealous of her relationship with Dylan. Mama Joe says it's a bit off how Pattia wants to get in between her and her son. There's if this woman had any sense, like why are you so afraid of losing your son or your son moving on with his partner? Why does that threaten you, Mama Joe? Why do you feel threatened by Pattia? There's no way that an outsider can get in between, or this will always be your son. Y'all may not always get along. He may even go no contact with you, but he will always be your son. He won't always be Patia's boyfriend, fiance, husband. Okay, that can always change. Your role or your relationship as his mother will never change. Okay, y'all could be 6 feet under. You will always be Dylan's mother. Okay, he only has one mother. You'll always be his mother. There's nothing she can do to take that title away from you. Now, if you're worried about her turning your son against you, well, that's on your son. That's on your son. If he's going to allow someone else to turn him against you, that's on him. He'll either he has his reasons to do it or he doesn't have his reasons to do it. That's completely on him. That's got nothing to do with Pattia. So she talks about how really odd it is that Pattia wants to get in between her and her son. And she actually says this, y'all. She says, me and Dylan, we are bonded for life. Like, who are you telling this to? Are you trying to convince yourself? Like, who are you telling? Are you trying? Is this your passive aggressive way of I don't know, letting Patia know where she stands and that like I'm not understanding why you're using this weird language when it comes to your son, Mama Joe. Um yes, you'll always be his mother. Y'all will always have a mother-child relationship. That's not going to go away. There's nobody can change that. It is what it is. Like, I don't understand why she's using such aggressive language when she's talking about Dylan and Patia and how she feels threatened by their relationship. Like, where's your husband, ma'am? Do you have a husband, a boyfriend? Do you have a significant other? Like, what is going on here? So she looks at Patia, in my personal opinion, she looks at Patia like Patia is the other woman. Like I said before, like her and Patia are in direct combat or they're like fighting for Dylan. And she has to fight for her position in his life. Like you will always be his mom. That's never gonna change, sweetheart. You're making me sound like a broken record. Nothing can take that away. Even if the man goes no contact with you, he doesn't want to ever see you again. You will always be his mother. And he knows that. He's not going to forget that. And I put here in my notes, this is your son. He's not your lover. He's not your partner. He's not your husband. This is your son. This is your son. You need to let him go and make his own decisions. Because I don't know what kind of history her and Dylan actually have. But it also seems like to me, Dylan is not willing to cut anything off or to change anything between him and his mom. Like he doesn't want to change whatever weird dynamic that they have, this codependent dynamic that they have. Dylan is not willing to change any of that. He likes this. He likes the fact that his mom is such a, what do they call it? I don't know, like a helicopter mom or something. Like the fact that she's always going to be there to insert herself in his life. Dylan likes this. And I hope Patia realizes this because if he didn't, he would have put his foot down a long time ago. And if he would have been like, if you can't accept Patia, then you can't accept me. So what you want to do? Which way do you want to go with this? That's what he should have done a long time ago. But because he hasn't, he likes the fact that his mom is this way, because I don't think Dylan has the backbone to really deal with Pattia or possibly any other woman in his life. So they're in the house, and they're talking about furniture. And Pattia talks about how, when they do buy furniture, she wants to get like a living room, not a living room, she wants to get a dining room set. And she was talking about where she would want to put the dining room furniture, because the house doesn't have like a separate dining area. So it's like one big space. And so she talks about, we can get a dining room set and put it here, and that'll be our little dining room area. And the mother says, "Oh, Dylan, you better watch her. You better keep an eye on her," referring to her spending habits, because in the past, Pattia went out of control with her spending. She was in a whole lot of debt, and this was a problem between her and Dylan. And so when the mother said that, "Oh, Dylan, you better keep an eye on her," it was a direct reference to her spending habits. And this offended Pattia. And when the mother left, she told Dylan, "Why did you tell your mom about my spending issues?" And he completely ignores the question. He doesn't say why he told. If he did, I didn't hear it. He didn't say why he told his mom about her spending habits. He just says, "But Pattia, you were shopping a lot and you were spending a lot of money and you had a lot of debt." Okay, but what does that have to do with you telling your mom my business? And she told Dylan, "I don't want your mother knowing about my finances." And she was really upset about that. And I thought to myself, that was the worst thing that Dylan could do, was to tell his mother about her personal business. The worst thing. And right there, excuse me, right there, it tells you that Dylan favors his mother over his girlfriend. Because first of all, if he confided in his mom, okay, let's start there. If Dylan confided in his mother and said, "Hey, my girlfriend has a spending issue. She's a shopaholic. She doesn't know how to manage her money, and she's in a lot of debt, and she's not stopping." That's one thing. I think that's acceptable. You're going to your mom to confide in her about an issue that's in a roundabout way also affecting you, because maybe you have to dig her out of this debt or whatever. You have to support her. Who knows? So that's understandable. If it's concerning you, or you're worried about her and it's stressing you out, or you're spending money on her to help her, it's understandable how it's concerning you and you want to go to your mom and talk about it. Your mom does not have the sense and the wherewithal. Well, she does have the sense. She's an intelligent woman. She does have the sense. But she doesn't like the fact that her son is attaching himself to somebody else. So whatever information that Dylan's going to confide in her, she's going to use that as a weapon against Pattia. So that's what I'm trying to say, is that it's okay for Dylan to confide in his mother, but he needs to know what kind of woman his mother is. But the mother's going to take that information and weaponize it against Pattia, which is exactly what she did. And she was trying to be all cutesy, jokey, jokey. "Oh, Dylan, you better keep an eye on her." But she was dead serious. She was dead serious when she said that. Yeah, yeah. She knows she knows what to and what not to say, and she chose to say the wrong thing to intimidate Pattia and to make Pattia feel some kind of way. And to show Pattia, "Yeah, my son is telling me all your business. I know everything there is to know." Pattia is not going to be able to buy a pair of panties without Dylan's mom saying something about her spending habits. But this is the life that Pattia chose. She's almost 60 years old, and she wants to live like this with this kind of stress. And yeah, I don't get it, and I don't understand it. There's nothing about she must just really love him, but there's nothing about Dylan that I feel like is worth this kind of stress. There's just nothing about him. He's not the richest man in the world. He's not the most good-looking man in the world. There's just nothing about him. He doesn't treat her the way she really wants to be treated, because she really wants to get married, and he's stringing her along on that. So there's nothing about Dylan that I feel like is worth her going through this at her big age of 58. Okay, we've talked enough about poor, pathetic Pattia. Let's move on to grumpy Greta. Y'all, Greta pissed me the hell off. She pissed me the hell off. Okay, let's get into it. So Greta and Matthew. Remember how Greta was whining and complaining about living with his damn parents. And she said that she had expected, upon her arrival in England, she had expected for him to already have their own place. The fact that they're going to be sharing space with his parents is aggravating the hell out of her. And I know that she nagged this man to death about it because here we are looking for a potential home for the two of them. So they go looking for a potential house. Greta has made it very clear that she wants to live in an urban area. She doesn't want to live out in the countryside. And the way she talks about how, because she tells us this story about when she was living in Oklahoma, she could just walk to the Starbucks and just walk to this and just walk to that, and people thought she was like, why did people think you were weird that you would walk to a coffee shop? That's what I want to know. Why were people thinking that you were weird? Was it because you were walking 10 miles to a Starbucks? Was it because what? Why did people think you were strange for walking to a Starbucks? But that's what she said. She goes, people thought I was weird because I like to walk everywhere. That's not strange at all. That's good. That's healthy. You're keeping active. Why would people think that was weird? She's not giving us the full story on that. But the way she talks about how she has to live in an urban area, it's like she came from New York City. Like she was living in the middle of Manhattan or Chicago or LA. Girl, you're from Norman, Oklahoma. I know Oklahoma does have um urban areas in big cities. I understand that it's not like, the middle of nowhere, but most of Oklahoma is in the middle of nowhere, and there's no city in Oklahoma. I'm so sorry, y'all. I live in a huge city, but even the city that I live in is nothing compared to a New York or an LA or Chicago. Okay, nothing compared to that. Even our downtown area, which during the week it's bustling and busy, it cannot compare to a New York. And I live in a big city, okay, one of the top 5 big cities in the nation. You are not going to convince me that she came from some urban area where it was akin to an LA or New York City. And so she has to have that urban ambiance, that urban atmosphere, that urban lifestyle. The way she's talking about this, it's like, girl, you're from Norman, Oklahoma. Relax. Okay. I'm pretty sure whatever countryside area you're going to end up in is not going to be too far different from Norman, Oklahoma. Matthew probably can't afford to live right smack in the middle of London, and that's why he would rather get a bigger house outside the city limits. So the house they went to was not in an urban area. Okay, it wasn't in the middle of nowhere. She said it was in the middle of nowhere. It was not in the middle of nowhere. It was like a countryside type area. Okay, like a little town. So the house is humongous. It's a really big house. The real estate agent shows them around. It's a very spacious house. It's 2 stories, extremely spacious. And the very first room that the real estate agent shows them is the living room, but he referred to it as the sitting room. So he was like, hey, let me show you. This is the sitting room. And Greta goes, the sitting room? Oh, you mean like a living room? And the real estate agent is like, well, yeah, we call it a sitting room and you would call it a living room. Greta, 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 sweetheart. No, ma'am. Not on my watch. You're not going to act like this. Girl, don't act like sitting room is a term that's only used in the UK. Okay. I use the term sitting room. I think in America it's interchangeable. Some people say sitting room, some people say living room, but sitting room is said in the United States. The way she said it, oh, the sitting room, like she was speaking a foreign language. The sitting room, or we call it the living room, or do you mean the living room? Girl, if you don't shut the hell up with that, Greta gets on my last nerve. Oh, I guess maybe in Norman, Oklahoma, in your big, big, big city, big urban city, the hood or whatever you want to call it in Norman, Oklahoma, they don't know what sitting room is. Y'all only know the word living room. Like I said, the house was very nice, spacious as hell. But Grumpy Greta tells us in her confessional, we don't need all this house. I don't know why. If he's struggling with money, if Matthew was struggling with money, I don't know why he would want to buy so much house. I thought he didn't have any money because she can't get her daily massages at the spa. Okay, so now she's like, well, if he can't afford my daily massages at the spa, how the hell can he afford a house this big? Girl, you don't know nothing about that man's finances. He probably put money away to buy a home. He just ain't got money for your damn daily massages, but he's got money to buy a better. Like, girl, you were the one complaining about living in his parents' house. Now you're complaining that he's moving you out of his parents' house into another house of your own, just the two of you. Now you're complaining about that because she says that I was imagining that we were going to live in a tiny flat in the city and cooking our vegetarian meals in our tiny little kitchen and sitting down in our tiny little cramped living room, watching TV with our cats. That's what she was envisioning. So, if you're wondering, why wouldn't she want to live in a nice, spacious house? Why does she want to live in a cramped little apartment? Well, number one, she really wants to live like heart smack in the city. That's number one. Number two, all of this house is scaring her because it's implying that Matthew wants children. So the real estate agent takes them to one of the secondary rooms and says, well, this would be like a really good kids room. And Matthew was like, yeah, we can put a pair of twin beds in here, for the kiddos. And he's just talking in front of the real estate agent. It's not like, anyway, so Greta damn near breaks out in hives when he mentions children because she tells us that she's thinking about not having children. I don't think she's made up her mind yet, but she's leaning towards not having children. And so when he talked about turning this space into a children's room, it freaked her out. She damn near jumped out the window. And when they were in the car leaving the house, um she tells him that she doesn't talk about the kid situation. I thought she was going to say, hey, when you were talking about the kids room, that kind of turned me off because I don't want to have any kids. How do you feel about that? That's what I thought she was going to say, but instead she says that she's not sure if she wants to live so far away from town. And Matthew says, I don't know why that's an issue for you because we have transportation. We have a car. You can go anywhere you want, anytime you want. If you need to go grab a coffee, if you need to go to the library, if you need to go to the store, get in the car and go. Okay, we're not so far away that it's going to take, 7 days and 7 nights to get anywhere. Just go in the car and go wherever you want to go. And she tells them that she doesn't think that they're at a point right now to buy a house with all of that space. Greta got on my damn nerves. She got on my absolute damn. She's so grumpy and so morose and so moody. Like, you complained about living in his parents' house, so he's gonna get you a space outside. I don't know if he's gonna buy this house exactly, but he's definitely trying to get them out of there. And she can't even appreciate that. And the fact about kids, he didn't talk about having kids either. He was just, bantering with the damn real estate agent. Moving on to crazy Chloe, or should I say, controlling Chloe. Chloe and Johnny. So they're going to go meet up with friends for drinks. They arrive at the bar or whatever this place is. They arrive there first. And before their friends show up, Chloe tells Johnny that she had been spying on him while he was working out on the boat. And he was like, spying on me. And then he says, how was that supposed to help our trust issues? I want you to trust me. So why do you feel the need to do that? She talks about, well, when you told me that you wanted us to stop sharing locations, then whatever. And then he was like, but you couldn't even see me. And she said, because he was so far out in the water, she goes, yes, I did. I could see you. And he was like, no, you didn't. You didn't see me. And she's like, don't tell me what I couldn't see. I saw you. The friends show up, which is Chloe's friend. I forgot how to pronounce her name. Kiriana, and her boyfriend Keener, who's also a good friend of Johnny. So Chloe doesn't trust Keener at all. She doesn't like the fact that Johnny hangs out with Keener. I don't know if he was hanging out with Keener when he cheated on her in the beginning of the relationship or what the hell's going on. But I think Keener also works on the boat. And I don't know. She just doesn't trust Keener at all. And she thinks that when Johnny is with Keener, there's going to be higher chances of Johnny messing around with other girls. So the two of them together to her is really bad news. So they talk about Chloe spying on Johnny. And Keener said, yeah, I saw you. And Johnny asked his friend, okay, so you knew about her spying on me? Why didn't you tell me? And Keener said that he said, oh, I didn't tell you because Chloe was like, oh, he's with Keener, so everything is good. I was like, what? I was so confused. I know that Johnny and Keener work on the boat together. So maybe that's what he was referring to. Like, oh, yes, Chloe saw us on the boat, and so she was cool with it because I was there with you. I don't know what the hell's going on, but something told me that Kiriana probably told her boyfriend Keener that they were spying on them. Something told me that, but it doesn't really matter because Chloe ended up telling Johnny herself. So there's what did I say here? Okay, so I don't know like exactly how from the boat Keener would have made out that that was Chloe spying on them, because he could probably see people in, sitting in the tree, but could he have actually seen that it was Chloe? I have a feeling that his girlfriend told him, but that's neither here nor there. It really doesn't matter. Chloe makes it really clear that she has a problem with Keener. She tells Johnny that she doesn't want him going out with him at all. And Chloe is saying, isn't that worthy, right? Okay, so she talks about how she doesn't want her boyfriend hanging out with Keener. Like I said, they're bad news together. They get into, I don't know, mess when they're together. They're chasing girls, or girls are always around them because either the two hot guys that work on the boat or whatever. They get a lot of attention from the females. And so Chloe doesn't want Johnny with them, period. As much as she's talking about Keener not being, as much as she's talking about Keener being a bad influence on Johnny, I'm thinking, girl, you're talking about your friend's boyfriend. So your friend is like sitting right there across from you, and you're just going on and on and on about how you don't trust your boyfriend with Keener because Keener is bad news. But Keener is also your friend's boyfriend. So you're like calling him out right in front of your friend. And the girl said nothing. The girl was mute during this whole entire scene. I thought that was really strange. So I don't know exactly how close Chloe and Kiriana really are. So at some point, Johnny tries to placate the situation. He's kind of like, Chloe, it's okay. You don't have to get so worked up. Chloe loses her. Okay. She tells him that you can't play Switzerland. You're going to have to choose me or him. Putting Johnny in a bad spot. The whole scene was embarrassing. I felt like I could feel how embarrassed Johnny was. He just wants to go out with his friends, have a couple of drinks, and here he has a psychotic girlfriend that's like just talking, like putting all her insecurities out on the table, bringing up all of their issues in front of his friends. And I felt so bad for Johnny. So the conversation then turns to um who has given up more for the other. And Keener says, well, Johnny has given up a lot for you because he doesn't need to live with anybody. He was doing fine living on his own. He doesn't need you to live with him. And I think that made me think that Keener probably told Johnny, hey, it's cool that Chloe wants to come to where are they? It's cool that she wants to come to the Bahamas and all, but you don't got to live with her. I think that's what Keener probably told Johnny. And Johnny was like, well, I don't really have much of a choice. So he's telling Chloe he doesn't need you to live with him. So he's given up his freedom. He's given up his space to allow you to live with him. And Chloe was like, you got it all wrong. I'm the one that gave up more than he did because I gave up a whole entire way of life. The only thing I've ever known is working for my mom's business. That's the only job I've ever had. I had to give that up. And my mom wasn't happy about that. I've given up my friends, my family, left everything behind to start this new life with him. I'm the one that has sacrificed a whole lot more. It's not 90 Day Fiance until someone mentions how much they've given up to be with the other person. Chloe says, okay, so she risked a whole lot more. Chloe tells us that he's only giving up his carefree Johnny lifestyle. That's the only thing he's given up. He hasn't given up anything else compared to her. Johnny tells her that he wants to be able to go out with his friend and not have it be an issue between him and Chloe. And Chloe tells us that her anxiety, in her confessional, she tells us her anxiety is on 1,000 when she thinks about Johnny going out with Keener because she thinks that he's going to cheat again. She says that there's a very fine line between Johnny having his freedom and doing what he wants and him cheating. And she also says she doesn't see herself as controlling. I was like, girl, what? You are extremely controlling. You are extremely. Johnny has been miserable since you've arrived on this damn island. We haven't seen not one happy moment between the two of you. You are extremely controlling, very insecure. I don't know if you're kind of manic or bipolar. I don't know, girl. I don't know what's going on, but you are on something. There's something going on with you. Your level of anger and anxiety and mistrust is abnormal, very abnormal. If this man is causing you this much stress where you're having anxiety, you probably have high blood pressure with your tiny little self. You probably have high blood pressure, worrying about maybe you need to go back home. Maybe you should go back home because this is not good for you, Chloe. This is really bad for your health. If you're this stressed out and have this much anxiety, every time this man walks out the door, you think he's going to be cheating on you. Now, just to show you how crazy Chloe is, I was on TikTok, y'all, out in them TikTok streets, and I was scrolling through, and it was some reality TV account, and they were showing a clip of Chloe and Johnny. I think it was her climbing in the tree. They were showing that clip of her climbing into this tree so she can spy on Johnny. And the comments were lighting her up. And one of the comments, I forgot what the comment was. It could have been something like, oh, Johnny, you better run, or something like that. Chloe came into that comment section and replied to that comment and said something like, I don't know what she said. I'm just paraphrasing. Something like, if you don't know the full story, or how dare you judge me, or how dare you, something like that. The point is, Chloe had enough time on her hand to go on this random, uncertified TikTok account. It wasn't like the major ones that might have a blue check mark, or it was nothing like that. It wasn't like a TLC TikTok account, or TMZ, or any one of those. It was just some random, silly little account that shows clips of reality TV shows, and she was on there responding to someone's comment, someone's random comment. And I was like, Chloe, you have a problem. You have a problem. Even if you saw that, I don't think you should have been responding. It just shows how troubled you are. You are troubled, very troubled by this whole situation. Let's talk about miserable Manon. So, Manon and Anthony are getting their baby baptized. Anthony tells us that he's only doing this for Manon. He's not, he tells Manon directly. He says, I'm only doing this for you because I don't believe in organized religion at all. So this whole thing about our son being baptized, I'm only going along with it, to make you happy. Manon tells us that her whole family will be there, including her extended family. She's kind of nervous about that because some of these people she hasn't seen in over 10 years. It's the day of the baptism. We get to see Manon's sister Marie, and Manon tells us that she's not incredibly close to her sister. After the baptism, everybody goes out to eat at the restaurant. It's like probably 20 people, around 20 people sitting at this very long table, right? So at dinner, Manon talks to her parents who are sitting right across from her. She starts talking to her parents about how life has been really hard for her, having to leave LA to come back to Europe. She feels like that she failed in her endeavors, and how she's trying to find a work balance life, or balance between whatever work and life. She talks about how she's so driven by making money, and she feels like she isn't where she is supposed to be in her life. So her parents are giving her words of encouragement. Manon, don't worry about it. Manon, you're doing great. We're so proud of you. You're such an achiever. You're successful. Don't look at yourself that way. Don't be so down on yourself. And she still wants to wallow in her misery. And she's like, no, 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 I'm a failure. I'm a failure. Girl, your son just got baptized. Can we please have a few moments of celebration, of happiness, instead of you constantly bringing up your damn problems? Why are you bringing up your problems at this moment, at this particular event? Your baby just got baptized. We're trying to celebrate. You've reunited with the rest of your family members. Let's be happy and cheerful. But she didn't want to do that. She just wanted to be miserable. Okay, fine. Let her be miserable. Um, Anthony decides to get up and leave early because Ben was getting, I guess, sleepy and tired. So he wanted to put the baby to sleep. And so he tells Manon, I'm going to be leaving. So as he's like turning to leave, like turning in his chair, she grabs him and she pulls him towards her, and she plants this very wet, sloppy inappropriate kiss at the dinner table in front of her parents and her other family members. And she is just sucking face with him in front of everybody. And it wasn't like a quick little peg she was going to town in front of her family and her parents. Her parents were sitting directly across from her. And so Anthony just chalked it up to her being kind of tipsy. Okay. He was like, I think Manon had a little bit too much to drink. She's a little bit tipsy, whatever. Her parents had said the same thing when she was complaining about her life. Her parents even asked her, have you had a little bit too much to drink, you think? And she said no, but clearly she had. So, yeah, that's miserable Manon. So, we talked about miserable Manon, controlling Chloe, grumpy Greta, and we are done with this review. Oh, and poor, pathetic Pattia. Thank you so much for joining me. I really do appreciate it. On your way out, please don't forget to rate the video if you like this content, subscribe to my channel, and I'll definitely talk to you later.